1, 2, you hear the clock ticking, tick tock. You about to stop living, tick tock. I want you to remember me, tick tock. But the dead don't have no memory. I'm coming. Nobody can stop me, nobody can hold me, nobody control me. I'm coming. I'm here to do my thing. I'm here to bring the pain. I'm never ever gonna change. I'm coming.
Hey folks, Evil DM here. Another episode of Idols and Efreetis. I'm back here. This week we're gonna take a little bit of a change here, and what I'm gonna do is talk a little bit about world building and using Onenote because I cannot write much more anymore. My handwriting is very bad, so now I've decided to go full-blown digital, which really doesn't seem old school, but hey, you know what? Let's get up with the times. There's a lot of cool stuff that you could do with Onenote. And I'm going to take you through what I have for my Onenote, for my world that I'm transferring in. I mean, I can't keep writing and things like this anymore. I just can't read those notes. As you can see, that's on a good day. But first thing you want to do when you're building a world, and I'm not the end-all, be-all expert of building worlds here, you want to think about the genre and the tone of your game. So it's your world you're creating, go nuts. Your world, your story, your rules, is like I always say. Maybe it's like your world's going to be like a Discworld thing. Maybe you're going to go like a Ravenyloft thing. Maybe you want high fantasy, low fantasy. This is your chance to sit down and figure out exactly what you want in your world. The size of your world, meaning is it just going to take place in just a city, or is it going to be in a continent? Is it going to be an entire world? Or is it going to be a galaxy? It really depends on how you want to handle it. Maybe you just want to have your group just take place in just a very large city and run around there, which could be lots of fun as well. We played just recently in a Star Wars game and we just revolved around just a Jedi temple the entire time. So that could be like a large city. Essentially, it was a large city, just an example. The scope of the campaign. That kind of falls under, and these are some questions you can ask yourself. Does it take place in a short period of time? Like, is your campaign going to be levels 1 through 10, and it takes place over a month? 1 through, 30, it takes place over decades of time, so the characters actually have to age. You have to take that into account. Things like that. That's the scope of the campaign. Maybe it should be the span of the campaign. Also, where do you start? Now, do you create the stuff based on where your characters are at the time, where they're starting out in this small town? You have some adventures that are branching out, you get a little mind map, and you're going from there. Or do you create everything in the world and work your way into where they are? So just in case they go this way or that way or this way, you have an answer to everything going on there. Do you have an end game for your campaign or your story? Do you want the story to end, or do you want it to be like an open-ended thing that just keeps going on and on and on? A lot of campaigns that I played in, I've just called it life, and I like it that way simply because you could just keep going and going and going, and there's really no end to it. It's just the life of the characters in the story and how they react to what you're throwing at them. I'm a very reactionary style DM. And that's not a term that is really tossed around a lot because it's not really a term. I kind of made it up one day because that's just my style. There's the, prepared all the time, the semi-prepared, the on-the-fly DM, and then there's the reactionary DM that just reacts on everything he gives his players. And I fall into the on-the-fly reactionary. So doing something like this, when we get into this Onenote campaign world where we're going to start talking about how to put them, piece things together inside Onenote and how it works and how I'm doing it. Maybe you'll find something useful in it, maybe you won't. Best thing I found to do when you're writing up your campaign world and everything is think of it as a TV show. Lots of books that you've read in the last 10 to 20 years, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Army of Darkness, Smallville, a lot of the Cortex games, they reference things as a TV show. Think of each session as an episode of a TV show, and overall the episodes are just a season arc. So if you want to build it like that. What you want to accomplish in that one episode, and overall does it move the plot or the arc of the entire season forward, or is it just one-shots. Think of the TV show Supernatural, for example. They always have some overarching plot throughout the entire season that may or may not get advanced a lot throughout the campaign, throughout the season, because it's little bits and pieces. Maybe they find a clue here, a clue there, but they always have, each episode has their own self-contained thing that has something to do with the overall arc. Small or big, sometimes the whole episode focuses on the arc of the season, but generally they're monsters of the week that find out information, they go hunting and things like that. So that's what you're going to want to do when you're jumping into just creating your world for the first time. You're also going to want to get an idea of what your players are going to be picking in the campaign. So it's good to kind of, so you have a group of 5 people, kind of feel out the guys and girl and ask them, hey, what do you guys want to play? You know, I'm going to play an elven fighter. I'm going to play a gnome illusionist. I'm going to play, you know, a paladin. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play that. Try to get an idea of what they want to play together before you build your world, because you want to tell them ahead of time, well, you're playing a half-orc. Okay, that's cool. Just want to let you know the half-orcs in this world are really shunned upon big time. They're going to be an outcast, so you're going to have a little bit of a challenge playing that character. Gnomes are in hiding, so, you know, you can't play it. Or, for example, dwarves run the world, so you'll be walking around as if you were, you know, a king or something. Things like that you need to tell your players as they're deciding what characters they want to play. So it gives them an idea how it fits in with your story and your world. They're going to be walking through this thing, and they need to have fun too, just like you need to have fun. So when you're building this, make sure that you keep that in mind, that they need to have fun along with you. Yes, it's your story, your rules, and your way of game, but without them, there's no game. It's just a fictional book. So keep those things in mind. Next episode, we'll take a look at the basic outline of my OneNote. It's not really filled in completely. It's mostly in a notebook right now because I was trying to write everything in a notebook over the past couple of years for this world, and I finally just gave up. My handwriting is just so atrocious that I couldn't read some session notes from a while ago. I decided that's it. Go back to the OneNote that you started, and this is how I do things, and we'll get into the characters themselves next episode and the templates that I use for that. So with that said, do you use OneNote? How do you start your world off? Do you just use an old-fashioned notebook? Do you keep little notes here? Do you not really care? I mean, what do you do? Tell me in the notes and the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I guess that's gonna wrap up. Maybe we'll call this episode 0 of world building. Keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.